When this woman saw this dog and her pups in the park, she got goosebumps all over her body. She first saw one of her babies, and the little fellow baited her to come over and follow him. But when she saw the full picture, she was in shock. These pups definitely did not belong to this mother dog. What they really are will surprise you. Alice Langley had always been a woman of solitude, and yet she was never alone. For as long as she could remember, her companions had been those with 4 legs and a tail. Canines, loyal, loving, and full of unending spirit had been her trusted friends from her earliest childhood. Her grandfather owned dogs, her parents did, and she, of course, did as well. Alice was a woman who had embraced the grace of middle age with an ease that belied her 45 years. In fact, she felt more alive now than she had ever done. Part of this vivacity she attributed to her daily routine, long walks that stretched on for miles, unencumbered by time and filled with the verdant charm of nature. Each day, she would take the path that wound its way through the large expanse of the local park, a space that bustled with life, both human and animal. She loved dogs, their warm presence a comforting constant throughout the ever-changing chapters of her life. When her son had come into the world, he too had been embraced by the unconditional love of their family pet. These creatures, she thought, knew nothing but to love and be loyal. But time, the ever-constant and unsparing force, had taken her dear pet away. Her son had grown too, leaving for college and leaving a quiet echo in the once bustling house. Alice's husband, Paul, was a kind man, but work demanded his time and energy, leaving her to face the silence of the house. The home had seemed so full of life before, with the echo of her son's laughter and the endearing antics of their old dog. But it had become a place of quiet emptiness that clung to the corners and the unoccupied rooms. The park was now her sanctuary, a place where she could find the companionship her heart yearned for. Over the years, it had become home to a handful of stray dogs. Hardy and resilient, they survived on scraps and occasional kindness. Alice, drawn to their spirit, turned her walks into missions of care. The dogs, initially wary, began to trust her, a kind woman bearing gifts of food and caresses. Her routine took an unexpected turn on a crisp day, bathed in early summer freshness. The park, vibrant and serene, welcomed her. Recognized by a few dogs, Alice laughed as she dispensed food, delighting in the furry chaos. Strolling along the path, she greeted her adopted family. As she left the park, an eerie feeling of being followed set in. The dogs acted strangely, alert and jumpy. Alone on the path, Alice felt an inexplicable prickling sensation. The uncanny feeling persisted, and just when she dismissed it, a high-pitched squeal echoed. Spinning around, she saw a tiny creature, a unique dog pup with patchwork fur, piercing blue eyes, and an unusual intensity. It emerged, barked sharply, and retreated. Alice was immediately intrigued. The small pup sparked a mix of curiosity and concern in Alice, prompting her to follow it into uncharted territory. Throwing caution to the wind, she ventured into the thick underbrush, determined to find the mysterious pup. The familiar path behind her faded as she pressed on, guided by the pup's whines and barks. Despite the challenges of crawling through dense vegetation, Alice pressed forward, eventually reaching an unexpected open clearing bathed in soft sunlight. In the clearing, she discovered not only the first pup but 5 more, all of the same breed. They were playful and energetic, unlike the first pup, which seemed more wild than domesticated. As Alice marveled at the scene, she noticed an adult dog, the mother, nursing the pups. The mother had a shiny white coat with brown spots, different from the pups. However, there was a 7th pup by her side, smaller and bearing the same white and brown spots, indicating a biological connection. The sight puzzled Alice, raising questions about the origin of the mismatched family. She wondered why a domesticated dog was nursing seemingly wild pups. The scene fascinated her, and upon returning home, she delved into research to find answers. However, her efforts yielded few results, leaving her intrigued and determined to uncover the mystery. Not one to give up, Alice decided to widen her search. She called several local animal shelters and rescue centers, explaining what she'd found and asking if they had any similar instances or could provide any insight. She posted her story on chat rooms where pet owners congregated to share stories of their furry friends. However, no substantial answers were found, only speculations. Days went by with Alice returning to the park to care for her new furry friends and seeking answers to her questions. Until one evening when her phone rang. An unknown number blinked on the screen. The voice on the other end introduced himself as a local wildlife protector who had come across her online post. His words held promise, and Alice felt a flutter of hope. The wildlife protector had been involved in numerous cases involving displaced or lost animals. He suggested that the muscular pups were probably wild dogs, separated from their own mother somehow, and adopted by the domesticated dog in the park. It was uncommon, but not unheard of. Animals, he said, had their own survival instincts, and sometimes that meant forming unlikely new families. Alice's heart swelled at the thought. Even in the animal kingdom, there were stories of resilience, love, and unexpected families. The wildlife protector offered to visit the park with her to inspect the unusual family she told him about, and Alice readily agreed. Her solitude was punctuated by this newfound purpose, the narrative of the unusual canine family intertwining with her own. The morning arrived with a biting chill, the sky painted in hues of orange and pink as Alice, along with the wildlife protector, embarked on their search. Hours went by with no sign of the mother dog or her pups, and Alice found herself grappling with the fear that she might have lost them forever. However, as the dawn began to brighten the park with its gentle light, Alice heard a familiar bark echoing through the trees. It was the biological pup, the one who shared her mother's spots and had the previous day led Alice to their hiding place. He seemed to be leading them again, a canine guide through the undergrowth. Finally, they found them. The mother dog was nestled protectively against a tree, her brood huddled close. The wildlife protector, who had until then remained skeptical, was as surprised as Alice at the sight of the unconventional family. The mixed pups were indeed wild dogs, a conclusion that filled them both with relief and concern. The protector assured Alice that the wild pups could not stay in the community park. They would have to be relocated to a sanctuary. Alice felt a pang of sadness to see them go, but she knew it was the right thing. At the sanctuary, they would receive care and have a chance to grow up in an environment suited to their wild nature. The sanctuary took in the wild pups, but Alice made a decision that surprised even herself. She decided to adopt the mother dog and her biological pup. The sudden decision wasn't out of pity, but rather an unexpected yearning to care for them, to give them a home and love. She was aware it would be a huge responsibility, but one she was ready to embrace. As the mother dog and her pup made themselves at home in Alice's house, the once quiet place began to stir with life again. The canines filled the emptiness with barks and paws pattering against the floor, their presence a comforting echo of what used to be. For the first time in years, Alice didn't feel alone. She felt fulfilled. Perhaps the true essence of this tale lies in the realization that, even in the most unexpected of circumstances, there is a joy to be found, if you just open your heart